What's up, everybody? I'm Najee Adams.
And I'm Hunter Jacobs.
And you're listening to the Hoop Ball Nets podcast. So, before we get into everything, just going to start it off how we normally start it off. Make sure to go subscribe to us on iTunes. You can look up Hoop-Ball or Hoop Ball Nets, whichever one you want. You can also look up Brooklyn Nets and we'll come up. Make sure to leave us 5 stars and a nice little review. We're reading all reviews on the podcast, so if you want to get your review read, make sure to leave one for us. This episode, we're going to be going over the Nets' last 3 games. All 3 were losses. There would normally be a Brooklyn Baller of the Week, but as we said last episode, if the Nets do have a week where they lose all games in that specific week, then we don't think they deserve a Brooklyn Baller of the Week. It's crazy that we predicted it last episode, like saying that would eventually happen, and it happened. But they just happened to lose all 3. In fact, they're on a 6-game losing streak and are now the 11th seed in the East. The 6 straight losses is tied for the longest losing streak in the league with the Chicago Bulls. Why are the Nets losing, you ask? We're going to get into that later after we recap all the games. So, starting with the first game, they lost 101-91 to the Jazz at home and went 0-3 on their 4-game homestand. They got outscored 31-13 in the fourth quarter, and they just weren't able to come back from it after that. They lost the turnovers 19-20, and for some reason, don't know exactly why, the Nets average more turnovers at home than they do on the road. At home, they average the 6th most turnovers in the league with 15.8, while on the road, they average the 11th least turnovers in the league at 14.
They lost their closer, Caris LeVert, and now they can't score in the fourth quarter. 13 points in the fourth quarter to a struggling Jazz team after they were winning by 8 to start the quarter. So, they should have won the game. No one can make a bucket. Spencer Dinwiddie and D'Angelo Russell are failing to do their job. And
I feel like it's not fair to just place all the blame on them, though.
Yes, but right now they're the best players on the team. Best players are supposed to be able to close the game. Jared Allen is also gravely underperforming right now, and he should pick it up, being that he should have the ball in his hands a lot. He's not taking a lot of shots either. He's been efficient, but they're not giving him the ball in the right spots. But
he's also not playing a ton of minutes.
Yeah, D'Angelo Russell, the leash is basically gone.
Yeah, he played 35 minutes in their most recent loss.
But he's also playing horrible basketball, so it's not like it matters whether there is a leash or not. He's just not good.
Nets and the Jazz tied when it came to rebounds. They both had 48, but they did out offensive rebound them 14-8. They yet again allowed their opponent to shoot above 47% from the field, and they're allowing their opponents to shoot the 10th highest field goal percentage in the league at 46.7%. The Jazz shot 32.1% from the three-point line, while the Nets shot 34.9% from the field and 36.7% from the three-point line, which is horrible considering the Jazz aren't some lockdown team. They're allowing their opponents to shoot the 4th highest field goal percentage in the league at 47.7%.
Although they were last year, this year they're just having a down start. But the Nets defense, so their guard defense was already weak, and then you lose the one better of the 3 defenders in Caris LeVert. So, by 3, I'm talking about D'Lo and Dinwiddie as the other 2. We know Allen Crabbe and DeMare Carroll are capable defenders, but they also are just playing terrible basketball as well right now. Caris LeVert going down ruined their season. That's the bottom line. I'm going to say it every single game because that's the truth. Until they get him back, they're not going to win more than 3 games consecutively. I'm telling you that now.
On to the box score. Donovan Mitchell returned from a 2-game absence and absolutely destroyed the Nets. He scored 12 points in the final 6 minutes of the game to put the Nets away. The Nets, as we said before, scored 12 in the entire 12-minute fourth quarter. So Mitchell, one man, scored 1 less point than the entire Nets team in half the time. On to the box scores. Donovan Mitchell returned from a 2-game absence and completely demolished the Nets. He scored 12 points in the final 6 minutes of the game to put the Nets away. The Nets scored 13 points in the entire 12-minute quarter. So Mitchell, as one man, scored one less point than the entire Nets team did in half the time, which just can't happen if you want to win a game.
I mean, they did hold him to 50% shooting, and he took 24 shots. So it's not like they played terrible defense on him. They just crumbled at the end of the game. They played great defense on him until those 12 points.
True. On the game, he had 29 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 4 steals on 12 of 24 shooting. The Nets actually played good defense.
Credit to whoever guarded Ricky Rubio. If it was D'Angelo Russell, I'll still give him credit because he was 0 of 9 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3.
Dante Exum was over 2 too.
For 6 points with 3 rebounds and 4 assists. So it was a bad game for Ricky Rubio. His points came off of free throws only. He did not make one single shot.
Like I was saying, the Nets do play good. Like, they do guard their opponents well from the 3-point line. So they only gave up 2 of 8 shooting to Donovan Mitchell from behind the arc. Rudy Gobert absolutely destroyed the Nets. 23 points, 16 rebounds, 4 blocks, a steal, 3 assists on 10 of 14 shooting.
And I watched the end of this game, and I saw that Royce O'Neal was playing over Jay Crowder and Derek Favors. You would think...
He played 29 minutes.
You would think that is not a big move. However, he was 3 of 3 from 3, and 2 of those threes came in the last minutes of the game with terrible defense, leaving him wide open. So if you were going to let Royce O'Neal beat you, you deserve to lose.
Other than that, they didn't really give up many points to...
Raul Neto also killed them. 11
Neto.
Points in 15 minutes.
He was 4 of 8 from the field, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. So they really gave up 29 to Donovan Mitchell, 23 to Rudy Gobert, and then no one else in their starting lineup really had more than 10, and then Raul Neto and Royce O'Neal off the bench had 13 and 11. So the Nets did a good job on their starting lineup with the exception of their 2 best players, basically.
All right, so time to do what I do best. Talk about D'Angelo Russell's stat line.
So, this is a bad one.
So you mean to tell me...
I can't even defend it.
...that you score 14 points in 35 minutes. All right, if you score 14 and you add 5 rebounds and 7 assists with 3 steals, you would think, oh, it's an okay stat line. It's not when you shoot 6 of 25 from the field. 6 of 25. So, at the end of this game, every shot he put up missed. He couldn't hit anything. The closer that he's supposed to be right now was just... It was terrible. It was ugly to see. 6 of 25. That's 24% from the field. He was 2 of 6 from 3. He turned the ball over 4 times, most on the squad. And he had a minus 13 plus minus.
I can't even. I would just like to say that Spencer Dinwiddie had the highest plus. He had the lowest plus minus with negative 15. So at least D'Lo was better than Spencer Dinwiddie in some sense.
However, I will tell you that Spencer Dinwiddie kept them alive when it looked like the momentum was going the Jazz's way, because he scored 18 points in his 21 minutes on 45% shooting, 5 of 11 from the field. And he added 3 rebounds and 2 blocks. So, I mean, it was an okay game in the time that he played, but he also did foul out in 21 minutes. So
that's crazy.
So that didn't really help at all. And then Shabazz Napier played well in his time. 10 points, 16 minutes, 2 steals, a block, a +5 plus minus, which happens to be the highest on the team in his 16 minutes.
Yeah, Shabazz Napier has been getting more minutes, and we'll get into that later. But if you didn't get the note from me and Hunter's rant, D'Angelo Russell had 14 points in 35 minutes, 6 of 25 from the field. He was 2 of 6 from 3, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 turnovers, 3 steals. Spencer Dinwiddie, 18 points in 21 minutes, fouled out in those 21 minutes, which is incredibly
Jared Allen
bad.
double-doubled, and so did Rondae Hollis. Similar stat lines.
Yeah, Rondae Hollis Jefferson had a season-high 11 rebounds, 28 minutes, 14 points, 6 of 13 from the field, 3 turnovers, an assist, and a steal. Joe Harris, old reliable, played 29 minutes, only had 8 points, only took 4 shots. Both of them were threes. All of them were threes. He only hit 2 of them.
He got 3 steals and no turnovers, so...
He also had 2 rebounds and 2 assists. And then, Jared Allen had 14 and 10. He hit
shot well from the free throw line, kind of.
8 of 11
solid.
From the free throw line. He had an assist and turnover. He didn't have any blocks. But...
Allen Crabbe, once again, terrible. 9 points, 3 of 10 shooting. But, yeah.
The Nets have lost basically every game that Ron Dallas Jefferson has started to play big minutes. So that makes me ask you, should maybe Kenny Atkinson was right to play Jared Dudley? Because they were winning when Jared Dudley was playing big minutes.
All right. So let me tell you exactly why that is the most ridiculous question I've ever heard in my life. So, Jared Dudley, 18 minutes, 0 points in this one with a turnover, a steal, and a rebound on 0 of 2 shooting in the box score. Contributed nothing but a -1 in the plus-minus in his 18 minutes of action. And you think this guy contributing
Maybe it just did something for team morale.
Nothing. He's still on the court. He's still on the court, which is already a travesty. Because I believe Kenneth Faried is better equipped to see the court than this guy at this point.
I think Rodions Carooks should be playing more than Jared Dudley.
I believe Big Sauce Allen Williams should get activated to play before this guy keeps seeing the court. I really do not understand how anyone at this point could believe that Dudley even deserves a roster spot in this league. He does nothing. He contributes nothing except veteran presence. If you need veteran presence, get somebody who can put up 4 points and 2 rebounds at the very least. Bring Paul Pierce or Kevin Garnett out of retirement to play more efficient basketball than Dudley's playing right now.
That wasn't the greatest. That wasn't the greatest question I've ever asked you. But on to the most exciting of the games we're going to talk about. A very controversial loss in double OT to the Memphis Grizzlies, 131-125 to finish out the 4-game homestand with 4 straight losses. The Nets actually should have won this game, and they basically got screwed by the refs.
However, they deserve to lose, so I'm happy they did lose, because when you're up by 7 points with 22 seconds, and you even find a way to get close to losing, you deserve nothing. You deserve absolutely nothing.
Okay, but they did, in retrospect, get kind of messed up by the refs. The NBA releases the last 2-minute report, as everyone knows. Basically goes over all the calls that were controversial and tells everyone that reads it whether or not they were right. So it revealed that the 4-point play that Jaren Jackson Jr. had with 26.8 seconds in the fourth should have been wiped out by an offensive foul. So that's 4 points right there that the Grizzlies shouldn't have had. And then, after he hit that 4-point play...
Okay, so they say it's an offensive foul. I believe the best that could have happened was a no call, which they still would have won the game at that point. However...
Yeah, but this is just saying if the game was ref perfectly, which we know no game is, but...
But letting Jaren Jackson score 7 points by himself in 22 seconds...
Letting Jaren Jackson score 36 or whatever he had. What did he have?
36.
36, yeah.
And Mike Conley had 37. So, it's not like you were playing Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, where that would be an acceptable stat line. You're playing defensive-minded Mike Conley and defensive-minded Jaren Jackson and allow them to score 35-plus points each. You deserve to lose. I'm happy they lost. That's a wake-up call. Although they continue to lose as they lost the next game after that, too.
After he hit the 4-point play, the Nets then turned it over off an inbounds play that Kenny Atkinson said was his fault with 23 seconds left. And Jaren Jackson hit another triple from 30 feet to send the game into overtime. However, the last 2-minute report revealed that inbound steal that the Nets gave up should have been called for a foul. The Grizzlies should have got called for a foul on the inbound steal. So... they should have never gotten the ball back for Jaren Jackson to hit the 3. Either way, the Nets ended up losing. So, we still got to talk about it. They won turnover 16-17 and 1 rebounds 51-45. They finally shot over 40% from the field for like the first time in 3 games. They shot 44.7% from the field and 36.4% from the 3-point line. And
but they let the Grizzlies shoot better from the field and 3.
Yet again, almost 50%, 49.5% from the field and 40% from the 3-point line. Mike Conley single-handedly destroyed the Nets in the second overtime. He scored 13 of the Grizzlies' 14 points in the second overtime, and the Nets only had 8. The entire game, he had 37 points, 10 assists, and 5 rebounds. He also went 2 of 7 from the 3-point line, so the Nets guarded him well from there. That's about the only place they guarded him well from on the floor. He went 9 of 9 from the free throw line. He played 45 minutes, dropped 37 points.
This is an example of a stat line where if you put up 25 shots, you should be able to have a stat line like this. But D'Angelo Russell last game took 25 shots and got 14 points compared to Mike Conley's 37 on the same amount of shots. It shows the type of player that D'Angelo Russell is to
me. He's been in the league 3 years.
Okay, but my issue is he has consistently taken more shots than he scores points, and that is an issue.
He'll come around. I firmly believe that D'Angelo Russell will come around.
There are more games this season where he took more shots than he scored points. That's not an ideal situation for anybody.
I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just saying I don't think all hope is lost.
On the season, he's taken 16.5 shots per game, and he averages 17.5. So, I mean, at least he's averaging more than he shoots, but barely, and that is an issue. That is a big issue. If you're putting up 16.5 shots a game, I believe you should score 20 points.
I agree. I completely agree. He's been off this, I don't want to say the entire season, but this is his best season statistic-wise, but it's still probably his most disappointing season based on like the opportunity that he's had in the storyline coming into the season. Back to the game, Jaren Jackson became the 3rd youngest in league history to have a 30-point game behind LeBron and KD, and it was the most by a rookie this year. He and Conley combined for 73 of the Grizzlies' 131 points. On the entire game, he had 36 points on 13 of 22 shooting, hit 3 triples on the 7 he attempted.
And 2 of them were in the last 22 seconds of the game.
And then he had 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 turnover. He had no blocks, no steals.
And he had a team-high plus 13.
Yeah, he was basically the Grizzlies' best player this game, either him or Mike Conley. But he had no blocks and no steals, and he's usually known as a defensive player. Yeah, he's usually a defensive player, so for the Nets to allow him to score 36 points in 43 minutes is just insane. Everyone else on the Grizzlies team was kind of subpar other than Marc Gasol.
Well, Marc Gasol, I'll say, was really good because of his defense. He had 15 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 defensive stats, 2 steals and 3 blocks. So it was an all-around good game from him.
46 minutes from Marc Gasol. On to the Nets. Allen Crabbe, 23 minutes, 9 points, 3 of 8 shooting, 3 of 6. Every point he took came from the 3-point line. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Rondae House-Jefferson, 38 minutes. 15 points, only 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and that's about it for him on 6 of 11 shooting. He attempted a shot from the 3-point line, bricked it as we would have expected. Jared Allen, 38 minutes, 15 points on a perfect 5 of 5 from the field, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and stealing a block. A great game for Jared Allen. He has to work on the fouls. He also gave up 15 and 15 to Marc Gasol, so that's not the best, but he matched it with 15 and 12.
Must I say D'Angelo Russell's statistic in this game? Would you kindly look at the box score and see what happened in this game too?
I'll get to that. Spencer Dinwiddie, 15 points, 42 minutes, 5 of 14 from the field, 5 assists, 2 rebounds.
And a team low minus 16. He has not played well either. He's kind of been disappointing too.
Now we're on to D'Angelo Russell. Team high, 45 minutes, 26 points, 10 of 27 from the field.
Oh, wow. More shots than points.
He was 5 of 14 from the 3-point line. He had 8 turnovers.
He was the only person on the team besides Jared Dudley, the worst player to ever step foot on an NBA court, to have more shots than points. Everyone else that played had more points than shots. It's only him.
Just seeing this now, D'Lo had 8 turnovers. He almost had a triple-double with assists and turnovers. He had 8 assists, 8 turnovers, 1 rebound. That just can't happen. I mean, and I know Mike Conley's known for his defense, but, like, in a game as tight as this one, you can't have 8 turnovers.
What also can't happen is him going 5 of 14 from 3 and Spencer Dinwiddie going 5 of 14 from the field. How are you going to take as many threes as Spencer Dinwiddie takes shots?
I know Hunter's happy about this one. Shabazz Napier, 24 minutes, 18 points, 4 of 14 from the field, 8 of 8 from the line.
And second on the team with a +5.
6 rebounds and 2 assists. He played 24 minutes because Joe Harris missed this game with a tightness in his left adductor. He missed the next game too. And Damari Carroll also saw an increased role, 38 minutes.
He actually played down the stretch over Allen Crabbe. Good decision in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, he had 21 and 12 on 7 of 10 shooting, hit 4 triples. He had an amazing game.
It is possible that he needed increased minutes to gain confidence, being that he came back into a bench role that he's not used to.
Yeah, this is his best game of the season by far.
And would you like to move to Jared Dudley's line? The same line as last game.
Go ahead.
Literally.
Go ahead, tell him.
Literally the same line. He played 1 more minute in this game. Increased to 19 minutes. And had 0 points on 0 of 2 shooting again. 0 of 2 from 3 again. And all he managed to add was 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. With 4 fouls.
Yeah, there's nothing I can even say. Jared Dudley's horrible. There's no excuse. This game had a bunch of close calls. Dinwiddie went for a game-winning floater. Got blocked by Mike Conley. D'Lo gave the Nets a 125-124 lead in the second overtime. But once again, Mike Conley took over after that. And they just couldn't rebound. And they honestly just lost the game because of the refs and because they just couldn't close it out.
Opinion. Caris LeVert's there to play the Jazz. They win. Caris LeVert's here to play the Grizzlies. They win.
I agree with the Grizzlies, definitely. The Jazz,
they were not giving up an 8-point lead to start the fourth of Caris LeVert.
I don't know about the Jazz.
He would have guarded Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell would have lit him up.
Not as much
Easily
as, not
would
as
have
much
lit
as
him
he
up.
did.
Donovan Mitchell is
not as much as he did.
He had 29. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell would have lit him up regardless, in my opinion. I don't know if there's anything Caris LeVert could have done to stop them losing the Jazz game.
I don't think he would have given up. Well, I also don't think they would have only scored 13 points in the entire fourth had he been playing, being that he's been their best closer.
True. Yeah, he probably would have been able to not match Donovan Mitchell, but like do a better job keeping up with him than clearly D'Lo or Dinwiddie did. Yeah, maybe, but I'd say they definitely would have won the Grizzlies game. The Jazz, 50-50. On to their
I say they'd still be a playoff team if LeVert was here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. When you lose your best player, then you're obviously going to sink in the standings. On to their probably the worst loss of the season. No, I don't know about worst loss.
Worst loss of the season.
Yeah. They lost to the Wizards 102-88.
In complete shambles.
This game, we're recording this podcast just after this game ended. They lost 102-88 to the Wizards on the road. The 88 points was the Nets' lowest points total of the season. They lost the turnover battle 17-13.
The turnovers are back, and it's frustrating because they look good for so long. LeVert goes down, and now they do not know how to take care of the ball again. So the argument that we had before the season that I always said, I believe Caris LeVert, as experience came with minutes, he'd be the best of the 3 ball handlers. He was. And now that he's gone, the 2 ball handlers have the ball in their hand more, and the turnovers go back up.
I mean, D'Lo had 8 last game, so we see you're right in that aspect.
As when LeVert had the ball, turnovers go down. When LeVert doesn't have the ball, turnovers go up. It's simple. So many things he impacts. Defense changes, offense changes, everything.
That's what I'm saying. Like when a team loses their best, like imagine this. No, I can't use the Celtics. Imagine the Rockets lost Harden, even with Chris Paul. Like their whole offense would change. Their whole team dynamic would change.
I would say,
imagine the Bucks lost Giannis.
yeah. I mean, Giannis is far better, obviously, than Karis LeVert.
But just like the concept of losing your best player, like the person you run everything through.
Yeah, I mean, a good example I would say on a team that is close to them is if the Kings lost De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah,
he's a good defensive player. He's been running the offense. He's been pretty good with the turnovers, and he goes down and they would have nothing.
It's like a shock for the entire team because you have to change up your whole scheme.
They would have to start Frank Mason or Yogi Ferrell, and it would change everything for them.
Yeah, it would change everything. Plus, the Nets didn't have Joe Harris in either of these last two games, and now Joe Harris is no Karis LeVert, but like he's old reliable.
He impacts the game
in a number of ways. But yeah, they lost the turnover battle 17-13. They won rebounds 42-38 and won offensive rebounds 11-2. Yet still got blown out.
The shooting was just so horrific that they couldn't come back from it.
They shot 37.1% from the field, 24.2% from behind the arc, and they yet again allowed an opponent to shoot above 50%. Wizards shot 51.9% from the field, 30.8% from the three-point line. They went on an 11-0 run to start the second half and sealed the game with a 12-0 run in the fourth quarter, and the Nets just couldn't stop them. When you allow a team to go on so many runs, especially like long runs, then you have no chance of coming back because it's not a back-and-forth game. They're just destroying you over and over and over and over and over again. On to the box score. They literally got beat by 3 people. Bradley Beal, John Wall, and Markieff Morris combined for 72 of the Wizards' 102 points.
So the Wizards are obviously in shambles. They've been mixing the lineups up, don't have anything consistent. Their starting center is Thomas Bryant.
An old Laker.
They started Thomas Satoransky in this game instead of starting Oubre. They've moved Morris to the bench. However, they've been on fire for no reason. They've been playing great basketball despite all of these trade rumors, all of these heated practices, this controversial news that comes out, and they're still playing well. So a terrible start to the season has now turned around. It will be interesting to see if the Wizards are still willing to trade anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd say that this is also boosting their trade value, so they might. But I'd still say they're willing to trade John Wall. Maybe not Bradley Beal.
I believe out of everyone on the team, Markieff Morris's trade stock has actually gone up the most, being that he's been quiet in terms of making controversy in his bench role. They moved him to 6th man, and he has been playing amazing. And he hasn't complained about being on the bench at all. So a team that is lacking depth can look at this and look at someone like Markieff Morris who can score well, defend well, and pick him up for their bench, their 6th or 7th man, and he could be a game changer for a playoff team this year.
Speaking of Markieff Morris, in 28 minutes, he had 20 points on 9 of 12 shooting. He was 2 for 4 from the three-point line. He had 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals, and 2 blocks. He had 5 defensive stats, 20 points, 7 rebounds. He had an amazing game. John Wall in 36 minutes, 30 points, 12 of 24 from the field. He hit 3 triples out of the 6 he attempted. He had 5 rebounds and 9 assists, the regular John Wall stat line. The 3 3-pointers are interesting, but I don't expect him to keep doing that. Bradley Beal, 22 points, team high 42 minutes, 8 of 17 from the field. He was actually 0 of 3 from the 3-point line, and the Nets still got blown out. And he had 3 rebounds, no assists, and a block. On to the Nets. Allen Crabbe, 14 points. He was 5 of 10 from the field, 50% from the field, basically. So he shot well. He had 2 rebounds and 2 steals, not much else. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, 28 minutes. He's finally starting to get the big minutes. 11 points, 3 of 10 from the field, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, and a steal. He didn't have the best game. 3 of 10 from the field is actually pretty bad. Jared Allen, only 25 minutes, 6 points on 3 of 4 shooting, 8 rebounds. He had 5 turnovers.
Like I said, he's just not getting enough shots up. Okay, as much as I love Shabazz Napier, the fact that he took 3 more shots than anyone else on the team is a problem with the offense in this game.
True. Spencer Dinwiddie, 8 points, 3 of 9 shooting, all of 3 from the 3-point line, 8 assists, 2 rebounds, 3 turnovers. D'Angelo Russell only 25 minutes after playing 35 and 45 in his last 2.
And a team low minus 20 in this one.
Jeez. 8 points on 3 of 8. He was 8 points, 8 shots, 1 of 5 from the 3-point line,
wonderful.
2
Good
rebounds,
game.
7 assists, only 2 turnovers. An interesting stat in this game. He only attempted 8 shots after attempting 70 over their last 3 games, which is crazy to me.
All right, so Shabazz Napier shot terribly in this game. 2 of 13, 15%, and 1 of 7 from 3, 14%. He did add 4 defensive stats, 3 steals, a block, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and he had a minus 3 plus minus, which out of anyone that played more than 10 minutes besides Rodions Karooks, that's the highest. So despite the bad shooting, he still
Had a
played
decent game.
all right. I believe his minutes should remain around 20 to 25.
Even when Joe Harris comes back?
Absolutely.
So who should the minutes be taken away from? Because DeMari Carroll had 20.
You already know who the minutes should be taken away from.
Oh, yeah. Jared Dudley had 16.
I'm
Yeah.
okay with 3-point guard sets if you make Jared Dudley sit on the bench all night long.
We had a Kenneth Faried sighting. The Nets were getting blown out, so he played 4 minutes, 4 points, 2 of 2 from the field.
What can go
1
wrong?
rebound.
He already had a better game than Jared Dudley, and he played 4 minutes.
That's true. That's completely true. Like we said, there's going to be no Brooklyn Baller of the Week because they haven't won in almost 2 weeks.
They don't deserve it.
And then, why are the Nets losing? We've really tried to sit down and think about it and look at their stats over the past 6 games, and we've bought it down to defense. They haven't held a team to below 47% field goal shooting in all 6 games they've lost. They've also been having trouble defending teams in the paint. They've been giving up 58.7 points in the paint over their last 3, which is the most in the entire NBA. So I guess that falls on Jared Allen and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson.
Okay, so I'll tell you all the reasons why the Nets are losing. Defense, offense, turnovers,
Rebounding?
Effort.
Nah, not rebounding. They've been good on rebounds.
effort, coaching, rotations.
So basically everything.
I do not see one thing that you can say, wow, they're doing that right, except
Rebounding.
except their city uniforms. That's the one thing that they're doing right now. Their effort is well below par, as they cannot finish a single game, and it looks like every team wants to get that win more than them.
That's true. And then it also boils down to Karis LeVert not being with them anymore, which we just talked about. He was their leading scorer through the first 14 games of the season, and since losing him, they've lost 8 of 10 games. So it's really hard for a team to compensate for losing their best player, especially one that they didn't. Like there was no indication that he was injured. It just happened, and then they just had to move on.
All right, so they play the Cavs next on Monday night to begin their 3-game homestand. And my opinion, if they lose to the Cavs, their season's over.
I agree. It couldn't. This game against the Cavs came at the perfect time.
If they beat the Cavs, there's still hope. Maybe they can go on a little run. Like,
we say this because the Cavs are tied with the Suns for the worst record in the NBA.
And they are clearly the worst team.
They're both 4-18.
But the Suns have way more talent than the Cavs.
The Cavs are also on a 4-game losing streak. And the Nets are on a 6-game losing streak. So combined, we got 10 L's in this game, and somebody's got to get a W. The one reason, if nothing else, the Nets should win this game because the Cavs are 1-10 on the road.
And also, if they lose this game, they're going to lose 9 straight because they're not beating the Thunder or Raptors in their next.
And then they play the Knicks after the Thunder and the Raptors. So the Knicks aren't anything special, but they beat the Bucks.
But the Knicks also do beat the Nets almost every time they play.
The Knicks got some hustle, some fight.
So I'll say there's about a 65% chance that the Nets losing streak goes to 10 games.
And the fact that it's 65% is horrible.
I think they will beat the Cavs. If they lose to the Cavs, it's going to 10 games. there's no way they can beat the Thunder or Raptors. They're going to get smoked by both of them.
Yeah, the Thunder are the third team in the West, even though the West is extremely tight.
And the Raptors are the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, the West is extremely tight, so the standings change every day, basically. But still, the third team in the West, they're 14-7. The Raptors are the first team in the East, like Hunter just said. They're 20-4. They just beat the Warriors. They're on an 8-game win streak. However, there's no way that they're beating the Raptors. Not a chance. But if they're going to beat the Thunder, at least they have the advantage of them being at home because the Thunder are 5-4 on the road.
In my opinion, Russell Westbrook will have 35-plus points and a triple-double.
Probably.
D'Angelo Russell cannot guard him. There is absolutely no chance.
He probably will, to be honest. If I had to predict I'm saying they beat the Cavs. Please, Lord, let them beat the Cavs.
Lose to the Thunder
Lose to the
Raptors.
Thunder, lose to the Raptors, and lose to the Knicks. I said they're 1-3 in their last 4.
Which, that would honestly make the playoffs out of reach at this point. They're not going to be able to do it.
But it's because they lost Kyrie.
Okay, but opinion or thought. Do you think they should try and revive the season with a trade? Or just
I'm saying tank it. Let's get a top 10 pick. Why not? What do you got to lose at this point?
I mean, what if they can revive the season and make
For
the
what?
playoffs?
They're not winning the chip.
But what if they can get Otto Porter and then use him as a free agency get?
I mean, it's tough because if you tank the season, then it looks bad for free agents, and you have all this money for no reason.
However, but then if you tank, you can go to Tobias Harris and be like, with my 8th pick, who do you want me to draft? And if you can get the person he wants, then he can come, and then it's good.
Which is why I'm saying, let's abort mission and tank the season now. There's no purpose. Let's get a lottery pick, and let's get some more talent up in here. Let's get a small forward. Let's get an actual power forward of power forward size. Let's get a small forward that's not Alan Crabb, Damari Carroll, or Joe Harris. Let's get someone of good, a young, nice player.
Also, let's make D'Angelo Russell a good basketball player if possible.
Okay, true.
And let's get Jared Allen for more than 4 shots in a single game. Maybe if he took 12 shots, he'd be able to score 20-plus points. But he takes 4 shots every game.
And
so I
know it sounds like we don't like the Nets, but that's far from the truth. We love the Nets. We wouldn't be doing this podcast if we didn't, but we know they can be so much better than they are, which is why we're so hard on them.
And I also believe Kenny Atkinson should lose his job so fast, but
the hot takes keep on coming. And with that, we're going to end the episode. Thank you guys for listening. We went pretty long this episode. I think this is our longest episode ever. We're at like 37 minutes right now. Make sure you go subscribe to us on iTunes at HoopBallNets. You can look up Hoop-Ball or Hoopball. Leave the 5 stars. Leave us a rating and a review. We'll make sure to read all of them on the pod. So if you want to get it read, go make sure you leave one. You can follow us on Twitter at HoopBallNets. You can follow us individually. I'm at Najee Adams _ if you don't know how to spell Najee, Najee. Hunter's at Hunter _JKR on Twitter. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you all next time.